Peace to everybody. This is about Melania Trump, Mar-a-Lago reserved and restful. And of course, she's been out of the spotlight for a long while because she doesn't want to deal with the drama or anything that's going on with all these Democrats and everything. So that's why she was at the Mar-a-Lago reserved and restful. President Donald Trump might use his Mar-a-Lago visits to golf, entertain dignitaries, and schmooze with his powerful friends, but for his wife, Melania Trump, the idea is to be invisible. The private quarters are just that, private and reserved for just her, her husband, and their son. Mar-a-Lago is her respite. So Mar-a-Lago is down in Florida. She has decided she was invisible, so that's why she was at the private quarters are just private for her, Donald Trump, and her son, and nobody else. The family compound of the Trump orbit at their approximately 20-acre estate turned private club nestled on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean in Palm Beach, Florida, are relatively modest as far as their homes go, according to a member familiar with the layout. So they pretty much has been having their privacy. Of course, as you could, the places down in Palm Beach, Florida, and are relatively modest as their home has been. The suites of rooms aren't vastly expansive in terms of square footage, tiny compared to the 3 floors of the Trump Tower family penthouse in Manhattan and a fraction of the 4 floors of the executive residence of the White House. There is a coziness to the place, even if it is one of the largest estates in Florida. So yeah, it's so it's a very expensive estate down in Florida. It's tiny compared to the 3 floors of the Trump Tower family penthouse, and also in Manhattan, and also a fraction of the 4th floor at the White House as well. There is no private pool for the family, no private spa, no separate driveway. In fact, the proximity to the rest of the guests many of whom have known one another socially for a period of time, breeding the club like atmosphere is both surprising and familial. So yeah, there's no private pool, no private spa, no driveway, no nothing there really. It's just a Mar-a-Lago mansion. That's all it is. There was nothing there. The heavily secured area, like most of the property, is essentially attached to the rest of the club's facility, where members and member guests can stroll about, dine, socialize, frequent the vast outdoor facilities, the tennis courts, the croquet courts, or the beach clubs. So you're not really getting much there, except maybe what, a tennis court and the croquet courts. That's all you get in there. But other than that, there's nothing else there, and it's essentially attached to the rest of the club's facilities. And as you can see here, here's the Mar-a-Lago estate down in Florida. President Trump's Mar-a-Lago is the shiny penny of his wealth, a sprawling example of what he has acquired. The literal interpretation of showing off. He rarely leaves its confines, with the exception of golfing at his club. Melania Trump is loath to leave the grounds, too. It turns out, and spends most of her vacation days on property secluded from the hoi polloi members, mostly having quality time with her son and her parents. Victor and Amelia Knives, who also spent a decent portion of the year at Mar-a-Lago. So Melania Trump, she does love the grounds, but she's allowed to leave too. And on, of course, her vacation days, she gets to go spend it with her parents and her son. And while Donald Trump is off somewhere else. Over the Christmas holiday, the First Lady spent 3 weeks out of the public eye at Mar-a-Lago, save for the approximately 4 days she was in Washington and on a surprise visit to troops in Iraq. This month, for spring break, she has been away from Washington at Mar-a-Lago since March 19th and is scheduled to return Sunday evening. Her year is peppered with mini breaks there too. The Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, Easter, Thanksgiving. So yeah, she's definitely going to come back to Washington this month for spring break, and she's been out of the public's eye since March 19th. So she's returned to come back tonight. Yet, like many things with Trump, there remains a screen of privacy around her visits down here. An oblique notion that if she is off somewhere for large chunks of time away from the White House, doing whatever she sees fit to do at her own pace, on her own schedule, unrelated to that of her husband or his priorities or habits, an independent way of life that has become the calling card of this administration's first lady. So yeah, Melania Trump, she's allowed to do whatever she wants. She don't really have to listen to Donald Trump. So I mean, there are things she's doing, like campaigning different things that she wants to do, and Donald Trump really can't say nothing about it. He may disapprove of some things, but still, she could do whatever she wants. She has a long history with Palm Beach, yes, but she stays to herself for most part, said Lawrence Lemur, part-time Palm Beach resident and author of Mar-a-Lago Inside the Gates of Power at Donald Trump's presidential palace. Sorry. And so she has a long history with Palm Beach, yes, and she stays to herself all the time. Most part of it is as it is. She don't really like attention too much because she doesn't want that attention. Lemur has long been a chronicler of Trump and his Palm Beach habits, even pre-presidential, and as such, those of Trump's third wife. So Trump's been married before, and now he is Melania Trump's husband, and they've been married for 13 years, going on 14 years this year. All these ladies in Palm Beach said Lemur, speaking generally of the overly monitored set of denizens in one of the country's wealthiest towns. They go to Worth Avenue to shop. They dress up and they pay these exorbitant prices for clothes and things, and that's part of the scene. That's what they do here. That's the life, but not Melania Trump. So Melania Trump really doesn't do shopping at all, really, but she does wear wonderful clothes and whatever fits her just right. That's what she loves to wear. And as you can see here's the in the video, the Mar-a-Lago Resort's doubles fees. So, when Trump departed Washington for Mar-a-Lago earlier this month, her spokeswoman Stephanie Grisham told CNN spring break at the property was an annual tradition for the family. And of course, you know CNN is a freaking liar. They never tell the truth about nothing, so they just twist words all around as usual. but with the spring break, it's an annual tradition for the family. There are few who would argue against Trump's fierce commitment to her 13-year-old son to provide as normal a life as she possibly can for him. As such, Trump hasn't diverted from the occasions and events that have brought her down here since he was born. So, I guess people were just making fun of her son Barron, but she's tried to give him a normal life as possibly as she can for him. And of course, from the occasions and events that have brought her down since he was born. Grisham, during the 2018 Christmas holidays, which coincided with the longest government shutdown in history, said something similar when pressed by CNN about the First Lady's use of government funds to fly to and from Palm Beach and Washington Air Force. Planes are required for the First Lady of the United States per security guidelines. So they are trying to say that she used the government shutdown funds to fly to Palm Beach whenever she feels like it. And I don't believe nothing what CNN says because they're a bunch of lying rats. They don't tell the truth either. It has long been the family's tradition to spend their Christmas holiday at Mar-a-Lago. Her plans to travel with her son to their Florida home for this winter break have not changed this year, said Grisham at the time. So there was nothing really changed. The Mar-a-Lago, they had Christmas holidays down there and everything else. For many of the rich folk who winter in Palm Beach away from chilly East Coast temperatures and snow, Palm Beach means parties and social clubs and nights on the town. But for Melania Trump, Palm Beach is hearth-centric. It's where she makes sure things are consistent, where she can caretake annual traditions, and where she can hunker down away from the headlines and chaos. So yeah, winter's not definitely a good season, so that's why everybody goes down to Florida, to the Palm Beach, to get away from all the snow and cold. And of course, it's time for parties, social clubs, nights on the town, but not for Melania because she likes to stay away from the headlines and chaos. Since becoming First Lady, Trump's Mar-a-Lago days include other additions to her usual calendar on vacation and self-care. She now travels there with at least one staff member, typically Grisham, whose full title is Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications. So Grisham goes down there with her, I guess, and she's the chief staff of communications for Melania Trump, I guess. Trump and Grisham meet regularly while in Palm Beach. Grisham told CNN to discuss events and off-site visits. This week, Trump hosted Fabiana Rosales, the wife of Juan Guaido, the president of the country's National Assembly, who the Trump administration recognizes as Venezuela's acting president. She also dropped in on a local elementary school to talk about bullying with the students. So Trump and Grisham, they meet regularly about what's going on. And of course, with Venezuela, they're having problems. There's no gas, no electric, no water, no nothing about there. But Melania Trump and Grisham, they talk about the bullying with the students. They also plan upcoming White House obligations such as the Easter egg roll and future travel. Grisham said, in consistent communication with her and the rest of her small East Wing team back in Washington. So so Easter's coming. They're going to have an Easter egg roll and future travel. Um, and it's a consistent communication with her. Yet there is another component of her Mar-a-Lago life that is more personal than professional. It is where Trump has lengthy one-on-one time with her husband, the president. So yeah, there are times she'll have one-on-one with Donald Trump, and I don't know what they talk about, but whatever it is, I'm pretty sure they don't want nobody to know about it. Dinner guests at Mar-a-Lago are used to seeing them by now. The couple huddled on the candlelit patio during dinner time, talking sometimes for 2 or 3 hours, only interrupted by friends who come over to shake his hand or wish him a pleasant evening. Donald and Melania Trump are mealtime fixtures at the club's formal outdoor residence, often eating dinner together both Friday and Saturday nights on weekends when Trump is in town, says a White House official. So, yeah, so Melania Trump and her husband Donald Trump, they have dinner together and they do talk sometimes for 2 to 3 hours, and that's good that they communicate like that. And the only time they get interrupted is when friends come over to shake their hand, and that's it. What married couple spends 3 hours together alone at dinner? Lemar, who has observed the Trumps on several occasions, heroically asked, They're there so long, other people are leaving and they're just there. They dine for hours. He likes a small table, a four-person table, so people can come over to say hello, but there's not enough room to invite people to join. So, yeah, so it's just a tiny little space that they have, and there's not enough room for anybody to join them. So that's why Melania and Donald Trump like to be alone at the dinner table. The cozy dinners at Mar-a-Lago might fly in the face of the oft though common perception the first couple are irrelatively detached. So it just may fly off once in a while, but in the face of the oft thought common is extraordinary for what a public personality. Trump is that part of him is very private, and so is she. I am talking in the scene, and he and she don't necessarily like interlopers, said Lehman. Trump has always got to be the center of attention, so if you go to someone else's party, he's not always going to be that. So yeah, it's like if you were going to somebody else's party and they're private. Nah, it ain't gonna be like that for long, because even though Donald Trump is very private person, and so is Melania Trump. When Trump does have dinner guests, instances of which there have been publicly circulated photographs, there is typically no more than two or three other couples, oftentimes old friends from New York or members of his dinner political circle, a creature of habit when he's not eating alone with Melania Trump. The president isn't looking to make new friends, nor is he looking to widen his culinary inclinations. So there are people from New York that would come out for a dinner party with him, but it's just like a small circle or whatever, and it's just old friends that he knows in New York and that. Neiman writes in his book how particular Trump is about his vacation menu and how many Mar-a-Lago chefs have rotated in and out through the years. As such, Melania Trump doesn't challenge the kitchen either, though she may not eat Trump's favorite blackened steaks and burgers or meatloaf. She keeps her taste simple and healthy. So Melania Trump doesn't really like all the greasy stuff like burgers and all that stuff. So I take it as she's the kind of person that would like to eat salads, eat something healthy that she can have. Melania Trump does, however, oversee menus for bigger family events, including Thanksgiving, Easter, and Christmas. But for dinner a deux, the focus is on the conversation, not the cuisine. So mostly it's about the conversation. The cuisine, it doesn't matter to them because that's not what they're focusing on. So they are doing what they do best. These two will go and sit at dinner and they are in the most in depth conversations and will talk and sit there for hours, literally. A White House official told CNN confirming Lemur's account of the first couple's habits. So, yeah, they'll just sit there for hours and hours talking, and that's all they'll do. And as you can see here, this is a video that when Donald Trump met Melania Trump at the time. Mar-a-Lago was one of the first places Trump took his new girlfriend, then Melania Nas, when they first started dating in the late 1998, early 1999, and it quickly became one of his favorite getaways and remains so now, 2 decades later. So now, yeah, so he met Melania Trump at the time before they were married. She was his girlfriend at the time, so and it was one of his favorite getaways of Mar-a-Lago. So yeah. Melania Trump is following a long tradition of first ladies seeking to escape the clo- claustrophobic or whatever that word is, so just don't judge me, please. White House, says Kate Anderson Brower, CNN contributor and author of First Woman, The Grace and Power of America's Modern First Ladies. I think she's been more successful than most because there is so much going on in her husband's West Wing that she can fly under the radar more than Michelle Obama or Laura Bush ever could. Yeah, so Melania Trump, she's just flying through everything. That's much more than what Michelle Obama and Laura Bush could have ever done. So, yeah, I mean, so Kate Anderson Brower had told CNN all of this, of these um, long tradition of first ladies, and that's where Melania Trump is doing. She's following the traditions of them. Bush had the family ranch in Crawford, Texas. Obama had Christmases in Hawaii and summers on Martha's Vineyard. But when those first ladies vacationed, it felt planned and imagined. So the Bushes had their Crawford, Texas vacation. The Obamas is in Hawaii. Really? And of course, the vineyard of yeah, in Martha's Vineyard, but then you never know what else is going on. The Regimes had oh no, the Reagans, I'm sorry, had Rancho del Cielo or Ranch in the Sky, said Brower, but they were so attached at the hip they often went there together. Rarely did they spend so much or as much time apart as do the Trumps. So the Reagans barely spent any time together. But with Melania Trump and Donald Trump, they spend so much time together because they have busy, busy lives. And of course, Melania Trump don't want the attention. Trump has a Mar-a-Lago, and in the summer when South Florida becomes sticky with heat and humidity, she can also escape to New Jersey, where she and her family have more private quarters within a private club, the Trump National Golf Club. Bedminster. Trump's opinions are more vast, her movements more mysterious, and her activities when she's not working with her team more cloaked in privacy. So they could also escape to New Jersey, where they got more private quarters where they could cool off during the summertime because in the summertime it gets extremely hot. And of course the golf club bedminster, yeah. And of course Melania Trump likes to stay mysterious, and she could cloak him privately. Trump's desire to be away is perhaps more akin in terms of predecessors to Jacqueline Kennedy, who would spend long weekends away from the White House at Glen Ora, the 400-acre estate in Virginia horse country, when I mean that the Kennedys rented. So Jacqueline Kennedy, she would spend long weekends away from the White House on in their Virginia horse country that the Kennedys had rented before. And of course, here in the video is Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and everybody else who's in there. Brower writes in her book, first woman according to Jackie's Secret Service agent Clint Hill, between the summer of 1961 and the summer of 1962, the First Lady spent nearly 4 months away from Washington. She often left on Thursday afternoon or Friday morning and would not return until Monday afternoon or even Tuesday morning. So yeah, this Jackie's could go away for 4 months at a time if she wants to, but yeah, it was between 1961, the summer, and the summer of 1962 that she's allowed to be away for 4 months, and she wouldn't come back until Monday afternoon or even Tuesday morning during that time. Summers for Kennedy were spent in Highness Port, Massachusetts, where the fabled Kennedy compound was located. But Jackie Kennedy, like Trump, also spent time at Palm Beach for Christmas and Easter, and she had a fondness for escaping to her family's estate in Newport, Rhode Island, where she and John Kennedy were married. So they were married in Newport, Rhode Island years ago, and the summers there are pretty much almost like any other, but it was located, but they were where the fabled Kennedy compound was located. But Jackie Kennedy, like Trump, spent time also in Palm Beach, Florida. Mar-a-Lago contains material memories for Trump as well. While the ceremony was held, excuse the coughing because of this dry air, at nearby Episcopal Church, Beth Esta by the sea, the Trump's lavish wedding reception in 2005 was held in the club's Gillard Ballroom, which had recently completed a $42 million renovation. So 2005, Melania and Donald Trump, they were married here, and it was a $42 million renovation that they had at the Episcopal Church. That is a lot of money to spend, but with Donald Trump coming from a wealthy family, yeah, I guess it pretty much is worth it. Trump's six-figure quarter gown helped land her the cover of Vogue magazine, and at the reception, dinner guests were served gold-flecked horse, whatever, steak and lobster, and they swelled expensive champagne. At the party spilled out into the pool area after dinner, Trump changed into a white Vera Wang slip dress, better for dancing, which the newlyweds did until the wee hours. So yeah, there was a lot of things going on. They had lobster, they had champagne. Melania Trump had changed out of her wedding gown into a Vera Wang slip dress, better for dancing, and they would dance until the wee hours of the night. Mar-a-Lago also served as the backup for the weddings of Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, and more recently, guests opting to hold their weddings at the club are sometimes treated to a brief audience with the president if he's in town. So yeah, it became a backup for the if anybody wants to get married there. So that's what they do. They'll have a brief audience with the president whenever he's in town. But even when they're with family at Mar-a-Lago, especially Donald Trump's extended clan, those who observe the First Lady say she and her parents and her son form their own impenetrable, less approachable entity. Or yeah, so Mar-a-Lago is very much for especially Donald Trump's extended clan. So I guess, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just guessing that Donald Trump don't like Melania and his family. I don't know. So I really don't know anything about that part. So I mean, the families, of course, they have to be in-laws, so they have no choice. And when she's there for her husband, she is on her arm, on his arm, I'm sorry, spectacularly dressed, even if just for the members to see, said Lemur. Mar-a-Lago is the one place where he feels truly relaxed. He feels comfortable there, and I think that's true for of her as well. So yeah, so Donald Trump feels relaxed at the Mar-a-Lago estate, and so does Melania Trump. She feels relaxed there too whenever she is there as well, and she doesn't have to worry about um she don't have to worry about the reporters or anything to harass her or nothing, because she's the type of person that will stay out of the spotlight and not draw attention to herself or her son. Leave your comments below. I am out.